Ping is one of the most basic yet useful network commands to utilize in the command prompt application. It tells you whether your computer can reach some destination IP address or domain name, and if it can, how long it takes data to travel there and back again. Tracert. Tracert stands for traceroute. Like ping, it sends out a data packet as a way to troubleshoot any network issues you might have, but it instead tracks the route of the packet as it hops from server to server. The command outputs a line-by-line summary of each hop, including the latency between you and that particular hop and the IP address of that hop, plus domain name if available. Pathping. Pathping is similar to Tracert except more informative, which means it takes a lot longer to execute. After sending out packets from you to a given destination, it analyzes the route taken and computes packet loss on a per-hop basis. libconfig. libconfig often comes up as the most used networking command on Windows. Not only is it useful for the information it provides, but you can combine it with a couple of switches to execute certain tasks. The default output shows every network adapter on your system and how they resolve. The IPv4 address and default gateway details under the wireless LAN adapter and Ethernet adapter sections are the most important to know. Jetmac. Every device that's compliant with IEEE 802 standards has a unique MAC address. Immediate access control. The manufacturer assigns MAC addresses and stores them in the device's hardware. Some people use MAC addresses to limit which devices can connect to the network. You may see more than one MAC address depending on how many network-related adapters are on your system. For example, Wi-Fi and Ethernet connections would have separate MAC addresses. NSLookup. NSLookup stands for Name Server Lookup. It packs a lot of power, but most users won't need that power. For regular folks like you and me, its main use is finding out the IP address behind a certain domain name. Note that certain domain names are tied to a dedicated IP address, which means that you may get different IP addresses every time you run the command. This is normal for bigger websites because they spread their workload across many different machines. If you want to convert an IP address into a domain name, just type it into your browser and see where it leads. Not all IP addresses lead to domain names though, and many IP addresses aren't reachable over the web. Netstat. Netstat is a tool for network statistics, diagnostics, and analysis. It's powerful and complex but can be simple enough if you ignore the advanced aspects that you don't need to know about. Assuming you aren't managing a massive business or campus network, for example, by default, the command shows all active connections on your system whether those connections are on LAN or across the internet. An active connection doesn't mean data moving occurs. It could just mean a port that's opened and ready to accept a connection. Indeed, Netstat is mostly useful to regular users for its ability to show port information, and that can come in handy when you need to forward ports. But the command also has about a dozen switches that change what kind of information is displayed, such as the R switch which shows a routing table instead. NetSH. NetSH stands for Network Shell. It's a CMD command for networking that lets you view and configure pretty much every network adapter on your system in more detail and granularity than any of the preceding commands. Running the NetSH command on its own will shift the command prompt into Network Shell mode. There are several different contexts within this shell, including one for routing-related commands, one for DHCP-related commands, and one for diagnostics, among others. But you can use it to run individual commands too. Network Shell's complex enough to deserve an entire article of its own. Just know that if you want to get real technical with your network configuration, you'll probably need to use this command line utility.